Well, I've parked in the car park here at Nunney, especially for people who want to visit Nunney and the castle. So do use this, it makes it a lot easier for people to park than down in the village of Nunney. So we're going to take a look at Nunney. We're just a few miles southwest of Frome, and Nunney is well known actually for the castle that's managed by English Heritage. It is actually free to go around the castle, which is nice. They are ruins, but well worth having a look at, as well as looking at many of these old buildings we're going to see down here in Nunney itself. There are a few little side roads we're going to walk along and take you through those. I hope you enjoy it. So we do have a cafe that is open here for visitors, which is nice. And first of all, we're going to go left. And take our way into Castle Street first of all. So that's the Wesleyan Chapel. Take a look behind us as well. I'd like to give you as many views as I can of places that I visit. There certainly was some gateway there at one point, and here as well. It's been blocked up. Still got the stained glass in there, and we come to the castle itself first of all. So we're going to take a good look around the castle. There is a footpath back into Nunney. Over there into Church Street, I believe that goes. Now we have to be careful of the deep water around. There is a moat around this, and we're going to take a look at it. And here is the information board. The castle was built by Sir John de la Mare, and it dates from 1373. Just look back from the way we came, and we'll take a walk around the castle and the moat. Now, if you bring children down here in the summer, be very careful, because this moat can actually end up looking like grass with the amount of algae that will grow on it. So it just looks quite green, and there have been instances where sadly children have fallen in and almost died in here not too long ago. There's one child did that, so be very careful. The name Nunney comes from an Old English word meaning Nunner's Island. And the Romans were in this area as well, a couple of thousand years ago, a bit less now actually, for the Roman period. Roman coins have been found, and a villa was just up the road at Holwell, which is a quarry area, quarrying for the Mendim stone. So let's take a look at the information board. Always nice to look at an information board, isn't it? It tells that the impressive tower was the architectural centrepiece of a castle built by John de la Mare, who was a knight. You had to have a royal licence to build anything that was fortified, and if you watch my video on Farleigh Hungerford Castle, you'll notice I mention it there as well, because that castle was built without a licence, and then the chap had to get a pardon from the king. There would have been a larger courtyard around this area, so this is what's left of kind of the keep until it was damaged in the English Civil War. It was lived in after that. The family did get it back, but then it fell into disrepair over the years, and we've got what we have today. I won't go into the whole of history when I do my walks. I really want you to see the views, tell you a little bit about things as we go along. So let's cross the bridge There was a drawbridge, and the drawbridge was sort of excavated years ago. I think this is the area where it would have pivoted. Let's take a look inside, shall we? Very substantial, very impressive. They knew how to build their castles. We'll take a look in some of these towers as well. Let's start over here. As it fell into disrepair, much of the stone would have been taken away and used in other buildings. This area is famous for its quarries. It's the largest quarry in Europe, is just further down the road from Nunney. And you get all this wonderful Mendip stone. Interesting pattern up on the wall over there. And there as well, so they were fireplaces, and the fireplace sort of surround came off that, you can tell. Somebody's been chiselling away. A bit more modern graffiti, and we have a padlock. So down under here, the cellars, I should think. Let's look up inside this one, shall we? And you can see how thick the walls are and where the floor planks would have gone. Somebody's been putting a little pottery owl up there. Look at that for a doorway. Used to like those arches, didn't they, back in the day? And again, you can see the thickness of the walls. Of course, the trouble was, after the cannonball was invented, and it was not such a good defensive thing to have a castle, because they could be overtaken by people with cannon, which really brought about their downfall as a defensive place, really. And the old archway's gone here. See where the lines were in the end of the stone there, for the mortar no doubt to stick better. And again, we'll take a look into this tower. View out the slit window where arrows could be fired upon the invaders. But arrows aren't much good against cannon generally, are they? It's assumed that this castle was modelled on French castles. Some suggested on the Bastille, but the owner of the castle, the builder of it, was more likely just influenced by French castles. He had been to France quite a few times, had Sir John de la Mare. In 1926 this castle was brought into state ownership, as many old buildings were, to try and save them. Apparently the family can still lay claim to this, because when it was sold a long time ago, it allows them to do that, because it wasn't used for the purpose they sold it. So if there's any of the relatives out there want it, it's here. The English Heritage took it over later on, and they've excavated the moat, made sure everything's stable here and can be visited safely, so that's quite nice, isn't it? Some stone fallen down there from at the top. There would have been a chapel in one of the corners of the castle. The family were Roman Catholics in the end that were defending this against the parliamentarians. They supported Charles I and had to surrender after being surrounded by Cromwell's forces for a couple of days. They surrendered. The family agreed to support the parliamentarians and thus were spared of losing their lives. They did lose the castle, but the family got it back when Charles II became king. So I'll just give you a view all the way around. And then we'll take a look around the village to show you a few features there. A very old barn here by the looks of it. Have a look over the wall. So many of the properties here will go back to the 16th century. An aeroplane going over now. Little light aircraft. And we do have a life belt, just in case someone does fall in. And there's someone here to rescue them. The water comes from Nunney Brook, which flows through the village. And there would have been mills in Nunney back in the day. Let's have a look at that. That probably tells a tale. That's looking good this side, isn't it? It's a great view of the castle. Some of the towers on top have obviously fallen to disrepair in the past as well, but it gives you a little view of those. I'm just looking at the remains of those windows and the ornate part at the top of the arch. Looks like a fleur-de-lis symbol in there, doesn't it? And would no doubt have had something possibly like stained glass. You never know. It would have fitted in there. The castle was modernised in later years, and that was probably a more modern feature than the original building back in 1373, when glass would have been far rarer and more expensive. So we've got back to our starting point now. So it's very nice. So let's go make our way back to the road. We'll go back the way we came and I'll pick up the video from there. What we do, we'll just have a look on the bridge at Nunney Brook. And another look back at our castle. Nice, they've got some seats for people to enjoy a little sit down. And there's a weir just on the brook. So this flows out to the River Froome. So leaving the cafe behind, you see where the old post office was. And now we're going to go into Horn Street. Let's take a look at these old cottages. And here's the guardhouse. It tells that the overseers of the parish of Nunney had this village prison built, completed 1st of June in 1824, and then it passed into the custody of the parish council. So often what we call blind houses in some places, quite often round ones we find in Wiltshire, but they're all different shapes. Again, some lovely old cottages here, 300 years old easily. Get the odd modern property interspersed. On the outskirts of Nunney, of course, where it's been expanded in recent times, you get more modern houses from before World War II and afterwards. Greenhouse. Just look behind us a second. Possibly some form of water source at one time there. Coming up on our left and down the hill is Penny's Mill. This was a working flour mill until the 1930s. It has been renovated and now you can stay there for bed and breakfast. Now this is Rockfield House. I'll tell you about that in a second. Rockfield House, that was built in 1805 by John Pinch. He was a Bath architect who was responsible for many of the later Georgian buildings, especially those in Bathwick on the edge of the city of Bath. And just walk a little further up. This is called the Miller's House. So that gives you an idea that along the brook there would have been many mills years ago. As with many places, mills were necessary for grinding the flour or the corn so that people could eat. just get to the end of this property here, and I'll take you back down into the village and show you a few more things. There are plenty of public footpaths around, so if you want to take a little walk around, bring your walking boots. And now we are literally reaching the edge of the village on this road anyway. You can tell this house is built into the hillside when you've got windows just above the level of the tarmac. It's a nicely wooded valley through here as well, so I imagine it's quite protected in the winter time from some of the worst weather. There we go. So we'll just go back down and I'll pick up the video from when we get back to where the cafe is at the bottom of the hill. So we're back at the bridge now, so we'll give you a nice view of everything that we see as we come to the marketplace. Frome is qualified to have a market, so that's nice. It has an annual fair still, has a street fair. And water is always life, as well as a milling facility. So the last remaining shop in Nunney is the spa. So we have the high street up to the right. This is Marketplace. And we're going to go into Church Street in a moment. We'll just take a look over the brook this side as well. So we have the George Inn. Great to stay. This is the Nunney Pottery on my right. Apologies for the skip. They're just part of the process of modern life, aren't they? And that clue might be in the name. Get another view of the castle, and that's where the little footbridge would lead you to if you come that way. We'll just take a walk around the churchyard a moment. Get some interesting gravestones here. Somebody in the cavalry, died in Calcutta, June the 3rd, 1872. Lieutenant Colonel J.P.A. Theobald. This is one of the Fussell family. Great entrepreneurs in the area, the Fussell family. I presume it would have been one of them. It's John, I can't quite make that out. It looks like there used to be another entrance here to the church. This is the Church of All Saints. It dates back to 1174. It was possibly built on a Saxon site prior to that. Graveyards certainly are a poignant thing, but they do give us a look into the history of a village and a town. That you can see certain names of people that perhaps done things here, well-known or well-known families that have lived in a village for centuries. The rear of the big property there as well. Another old one. There's the same fleur-de-lis symbol in that church window as in the castle windows. Probably done around the same time of modernisation of the castle. In fact, we've got a sundial on the wall there too, look. It's interesting. So before the clock, we had this good old sundial. More very old tombs here. And we look back towards the castle that way. So we'll leave the church behind now. Take you to something else to have a look at. Castle house there. I want to take you along here, along the brook, to take you to the market cross before we go a little further up the road, as far as the older houses remain before they become modern ones. This is Nunney Brook. This is where the water came from to protect the castle in the moat. And we have some ducks. Are they used to being fed? They probably are. They're coming across. Oh, changed their mind. Can't see my bag of food. So this is the market cross. This is a grade 2 listed structure. It was built around the year 1100 when it stood in the churchyard then of the All Saints Church we'd just been in. It was removed in 1869 because the rector did not like the noise from children playing on these steps that we can see. He got so annoyed he had it removed. It was later discovered in a builder's yard by the Squire of Whatley, and then the Celtic cross at the top was added by him. After the squire died, and there's a fire which destroyed his house, the cross was dismantled and then rebuilt here, and the car go by, in 1959. So a lovely spot here. Just go a little further up the road, give you more views. So now Church Street becomes Frome Road, and you can get back to Frome. Most people going to Frome would use the main A road. Cobbler's Cottage, that's nice. And a rather grand house here called Fulwell House. And a lane, Donkey Lane. There isn't really anything to see because that big high wall screens the properties. I've taken a look at that before, and so we won't go down there. When I was scouting on Google, actually. Give you a look back down towards the centre of the village. So as we get past Fulwell House, we're starting to see some more modern properties that have been built over the years. You get that as you go on the sort of roads that drift out of the village. And another view of Fulwell House will go this way. Looking back. And this really is the last of the older properties. You can tell we had bonfire night, can't you? November the 5th, wasn't long ago. And Delamere House, so named because of the man who built the actual castle, Nunney Castle. And that's it, so we'll turn around now and take you back to the marketplace. Right, so we're now back at the marketplace, and we're going to take a walk through the marketplace up into the High Street, which is the way that you'll come into Nunney from the main Frome Road. They do have a village hall which a couple of mornings a week now hosts a post office for people that need that service. So that was the old bakehouse. So it's nice to see the names on these places. This is a residential home coming up on the right hand side. because it's quite narrow, so you have to be very wary of traffic. And just take a look back towards the castle. And just give you a view of some of these older cottages along here for you. Haven't got any real historic points along here other than for you to have a look. The purpose of my walks and information is just to help you a little bit as we go through the village, give you a few pointers as what is here, what there is to see for you to enjoy. I don't go too deep into the history. I know sometimes people would like that, but many would just rather take a look at the buildings rather than spend a long time talking about just one of them. That's the well house. And again, you can see the age of these properties from the style. And of course today there are cars everywhere, as opposed to years ago there wouldn't have been anything. As we get further up the road now, it will just move into new housing. So we'll stop in a second. And now my way back to my car, and thank you for joining me here on Roland's Travels. I appreciate it when you are a subscriber as well. Don't forget there's more on the newsletter and blog posts, rolandmillward.com. You can find the link in the description on YouTube as well. And if you click the notification bell on YouTube, you'll be able to be notified every time I upload a new video. I'll carry on talking to you while I'm going in reverse order, just so you get a different view. I try not to get run over. And please do go to rolandmillward.com. You can become a free subscriber there, and you will receive any new articles I write, or podcasts, because I do a podcast as well. We interview some very interesting people, from authors to museum curators, and I've got more interesting people lined up as well coming up soon. More about that later at rolandmillward.com. So thank you, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.